Hey, everybody.
We all made it.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Just grooving to the opening.
Am I hearing an echo from someone already? I thought I heard an echo. Who's echoing?
There we go. Was it Adrian?
Was that Adrian? I was going to say, was that you, Adrian?
What?
Alexa?
I kept hearing echoing from
I will
someone's
hurt
side.
you. I will hurt you, Brad. Where's that bitch anyway? Where's that
Well,
bitch?
it's gone now, so I don't hear it
She can
anymore.
go there, yeah.
It's gonna be
Oh, no,
nice.
she
Who
can
knows?
hear.
Go from the north.
Anyways, we got some great guests for tonight. Janine and Paul of Cornerstone Supernatural. Janine and
Hello,
Paul,
hello.
first off, nice to meet you guys. And well, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well,
Go ahead.
okay. We started Cornerstone Supernatural several years ago. A bunch of our class of paranormal investigators came through from different teams. You know how that is. Sometimes the marriages and other teams don't work, so they decided to come on board with us. We've got a whopping 30 paranormal investigators on our team in British Columbia.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good chunk of them are in the lower mainland of British Columbia. The rest are in the interior. We've got well over 2,600 members on our Facebook page. And we tend to, as Adrian knows, we tend to work with teams that have similar paranormal values and goals and aren't really, nasty out there. Let's put it that way. So Cornerstone, I guess, came from we wanted to have a foundation, a strong foundation, and everything else can grow from there. So it's been an interesting experience, and we just continue to grow. This month is usually crazy, as it is for others. We do fundraisers for historic locations and heritage buildings, and because we never charge for anything we do, 100% of the proceeds goes towards that facility. So they've got the opportunity to maybe put on another coat of paint, pay someone's salary or whatever, but it's another opportunity for good wishes. So
Just kind of to give back for letting us come in and do what we like to do. So
Yeah.
October is very busy for sure.
We actually need to team up for the giving tree because you know locations and we can. Nick is actually he is our international ambassador. So we have, connections. They are family is what we call them. They're family. So he has lots of connections all the way around the world.
excellent.
My job is interstate, not out there. I speak one more language, and that's barely. So we're not going there.
No,
I've literally reached out to countries around the world, but also in countries where you would never once think twice that you'd find people, even if they weren't fully investigators, just having the interest of wanting to get involved in those particular countries. So I probably have reached out to more countries than anyone else has in the paranormal field, and I've really, you'd be impressed. I've done a really great job out of it, kind of spreading our influence throughout the other countries.
Well, it's always good to talk to different people from different countries because you think that within your little area or your little niche in the world, you think that, okay, we're doing things this way and it's unique. But then the more you talk to other teams around the world, the better you get the idea that how small the world really is.
For sure.
And and then sometimes you'll come up with an idea or they'll come up with an idea and you can cross-reference it. That's great. That's really good because talking about the paranormal is always healthy in everything we do.
It's really one of those kind of examples that if I'm even able to reach out to even just one person that has the interest, then that means I've done something right. And now I've expanded our community. Because when you think of paranormal stuff, most people always focus it either in North America or Europe. We never focus on really anywhere else. So that's what I've been trying to do is expand it even further than just those two continents.
It's also great because that gives us a place to refer people to if it's not in our particular area. Because as you know, being on
Right.
Facebook, you get requests from, I'm in Detroit, who can help me? And then to be able to reach out to the right people
And
is
that's
really
actually what we've worked on things. We have a list of, every state and their teams, but these teams had to go through, it's not an interview, anything like that, but we make sure that they're actually good teams and that they're not, going in and behind the scenes charging something or,
100%.
doing exorcisms that they know nothing about or whatever it is they might be doing. We make sure that they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good that you've got the ability to work with teams, like you say. You maybe do a little bit of interview with them, but then you know them better. You know them better for what they represent, and they're not the fly by night. They're not that I've got to make a new video and have it out there, and it's not something just to be I'm famous sort of thing. And then or exploit places that it takes a long time, as you all know, to get into, and then suddenly they get into it, and it's ruined for the rest of us. So I 100% I believe that. So I agree with that.
Now, what part of British Columbia are y'all in?
We're in Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Because I've been to Vancouver.
Yeah. We're the ones with the water on two sides and the mountains on the other, and then the U.S. on the south. So it's kind of interesting.
My aunt lives up in Prince George.
Oh yeah. That's further north than we are, but yeah.
One of our team just moved from Prince George down to the Lower Mainland. So that's good. Interesting. Nice place.
I just wanted to point out quickly, since you guys live in British Columbia, I actually had a good friend of mine. He actually does a show himself, which he used to be on this network, named Matt Grant. He actually used to live he lived in White Rock, British Columbia. He did a show that was called Matt TV, but he actually moved to the other side of Canada. He now lives in Halifax. But he's always open for any investigator. So I can always refer him to you guys since he used to live in British Columbia.
100%. Yeah. I mean, talking about things and just you went into this place or about this, and then compare some notes. That's good, because talking about that is it's important. I can't stress that enough, because there is a lot of fly by night and weird teams out there that just behooves me. So
if any of your viewers don't know where Vancouver is, we're just maybe an hour and a half north of Seattle, for a reference.
See,
for people.
Y'all may know I'm actually from Bellingham.
There you go.
I'm from Bellingham. My brother lives in Boa.
Bellis Fair. There we go.
Yeah.
So I know where you are.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. So
I kind of miss the accent. I'm loving hearing the accent because I miss it with my aunt.
I don't
know we have one, so okay.
But
I didn't notice one either.
Halifax is an example. I mean, that's the older side of Canada, so there is a lot of paranormal activity and older buildings and historic. But to me, I don't think that if you go into, it doesn't necessarily have to be a really historic or old building to have any type of wow factor or any type of paranormal activity. It could be a brand new building. I mean, we found that, and I see Eileen shaking your head, yes, because you walk in there, and it could be the land. It could be something about that. I mean, you've had that, the First Nations around here more before we even came out here. So there's always finding out different areas, let's put it that way. But investigating during the night, I mean, it's great because a lot of our equipment work better that way. Mm-hmm. But if it's, I don't think you necessarily have to have a time frame for having a chit chat or talk with ghosts. You can't say, it's 4 o'clock, Joe, come out of the walls. It doesn't happen that way.
Oh, absolutely not. I've investigated during the day myself, so the different type of hours in my opinion, has no effect on certain locations. Even if they say these stories say that, well, you got to be here at a particular time, I don't think it really matters, because there's people who say they've had experiences other than that like particular hour or nighttime. It could be right in the middle of the afternoon.
But
And
I
that's
100% agree, because I mean the only difference would be if you're surrounded by a lot of public people, like people walking around,
Yeah.
cars driving. That would mess up a lot of your evidence. Would be the only reason to do night. But especially if you're in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
shoot, do it at 12 o'clock.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what
Do
you
it-
said about it could be a new building. My wife and I always talk about how it's not. Who's with as Earth old as the Earth is? Who's to say it's not the land?
Exactly. Because the building may be new, but you don't know what may have happened, before that building was built. Like, what if there was another building beforehand, or if there was a certain event. So
You
it's
don't know
not
what
always just the
happened,
buildings that you have to focus on. It's
Well,
the land itself.
It's just like you don't know what happened on the land 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. It could be.
We investigate this with this one historic place, and it's pretty active for us. And we'll yes, there's some resident spirits are in this building, but there's also ones that are passing through. So I think we've got to keep in mind that they're not for the viewers, they're not constrained by the walls. If your spirit entity, energy, whatever you want to call it, you can go anywhere you want. So you find certain areas that have more energy than others. But I mean, it's like you said, Brad, it doesn't necessarily have to be that particular building.
Now, I know down here in the South, we have a lot of Civil War battleground and all that. What do you have in your area that would kind of tie a lot of stuff into the land?
Go ahead.
Not really that much. We're not really a fighting group here in British Columbia. We're known for other things that we ingest that keep us calm. But definitely, there's a history here and a large, rich native presence that was here and probably left on its own for more than say Eastern Canada, where the French and the British kind of got together and had little battles in Quebec and things, but.
But we've had a lot of, slave type labor happenings around here. When the railway was built, there was a lot of Chinese immigrants that were brought over here, and they worked on the railway. They died there. I mean, there's a lot of locations that we go to where that activity is pretty high too. At the beginning, I said that we had 30 investigators, and I seen the eyes going, wow, that's quite a lot. But we've got psychics and mediums and claircognizants and audio engineers and cinematography. We've got different people we can come into a location, so it makes it better because you can feed off each other when you're going into an investigation. So and you can curtail it for that particular area.
Bonjour, Joanne. Bonjour.
Yeah. She lives in Quebec.
I think no matter where Eileen goes, it's always the scariest place because I've been there.
Okay. That's hilarious.
Do you guys have? What's your scariest experience?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that we've had a couple that have, I don't know if it's scary per se, but one was a theater where we were using different types of equipment and having intercommunication with a spirit that was there. We had temperature gauge, we had an SLS working on it, we had a K2, we had people doing interaction questioning, and it was reacting to us. The other one happened to be at the castle, which happens to be we call it the castle, but it's the old BC Penitentiary here in British Columbia. And the only building that's remaining in that particular area. So a lot of complicated, let's put it that way, complicated type energy that's there. In the basement of this, where the cells used to be, in this building, there was what we feel is a confused spirit that was trying to get a recommendation or of his mother on the other side, because he felt that he never did things right for his mother. So anytime we went into that type of questioning, our equipment went nuts. It's the same place where we had Janine had excellent communication with the SLS, which what she calls the tall and the small. And again, we use all types of different equipment, and they all can be taken apart. But we always like to see what we can get.
And we have one person on our group who's been doing it for 35 years. And if anything is going to happen, it happens to him.
Oh.
Right. So if somebody's going to be pushed or somebody's going to be shoved, Glenn. Right.
Yep.
And sure enough,
100%.
in the cell area of the castle, he got bumped and pushed and sort of a chain grip from him. But he felt at the time that it was really more of I think it was a guard that was just trying to make his presence known to kind of say, hey, move, you shouldn't be in this area. And almost a residual thing, but with a personal connection there.
And he did have scratches from where the chain had been ripped off afterwards. So,
I mean, we're definitely not an antagonistic group. You know, we don't go in there and kind of be like that one TV show and stir up things and, you know, yell at the supposed demons and things, but that's not really our style. We prefer to keep everything as we found it and try to respect the entities that choose to come forward. Yeah, and like I said, sometimes there are people that are entities that are a little more aggressive, but it's not like we're poking the bear, so to speak.
Well,
It's
like
funny how. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say, it's like what we always say is they were once people too. You go and be respectful, they'll be respectful towards you.
Exactly.
and I think if you walk into a place and you feel that negative energy, to me, I think that energy, maybe that figure is more confused than anything else. Maybe doesn't know, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here? What's going on?
Well, you're also entering their space too.
Sorry?
You're also entering their space too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If somebody came into my house like that, I'd be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing here? Right on.
It's funny how we all say that this one television show, even like when I'm doing private event or public events, it's always like, it's not like if you watch a certain television show, it's not like that.
Yeah.
I
Possessed in every investigation.
We get
Well,
asked a
I'm
lot,
not saying it. I
has
don't care.
anything ever, come out of the walls and bit you? And I look at them and they're like, no. it's not like that. It's not like it, and people tend to get drawn into that by watching television shows or watching or watching movies or anything like that, and then they get that perception that that's what's going on. We had when I mentioned about fundraisers, we did this.
I know where you're going.
We did this one where we had 6 stations basically set up, and we had different equipment and different people set in different things, so everybody could go through and have an experience, different paranormal techniques and so on and so forth. Well, we got complaints from 2 ladies after it was all said and done, and we said, well, so what did you find wrong with it? Well, we didn't see any spirits. We didn't see any ghosts. And I'm like, we can't just flick a switch and they come on out. It doesn't happen.
And that's the thing. That's a disclaimer we should all put on anything we do. And, somebody the other day, I was on a show, and the hosts of the show said, what was it? It was something to the effect of, we should all expect something, but not, you don't really expect it, but in your mind you do, just because if you don't, it's going to scare the shit out of you. Yeah. But when you ask, I get a kick out of all these people that go in and ask a spirit to, manifest or whatever it is they're asking it to do. And when it does it, they scream and run. Do you not believe it was going to happen to start with? Do you not believe in the paranormal to start with? Why are you doing that? I just read those immediately.
I always tell at my public events, I'm always like, okay, this is a lot of sitting around in the dark talking to ourselves. Please understand that. You talk to yourself more than anything else talks to you.
No, and that's true.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like like the comment was, these are somebody's, some parents and siblings, whatever. Always go in with respect, because you don't know who you're talking to, and if you go in antagonizing, like Janine says, they're not going to react. It's just like walking in there with negative energy. If you've got 5 people going to a meeting and one has not had their cup of coffee in the morning, it's going to be a long meeting. Everybody's had their cup of coffee. It's really not a meeting. It's, it's just a gathering. It's the same thing that I tell my team is, if you have had a bad day and you really don't feel like being at this particular investigation, don't come, because you're just going to bring that energy level from being a positive thing into, adding a little bit different to the mix.
Right. And
Well,
that's
they
another
feel
thing.
your energy.
Yeah, that's another thing. Spirits are drawn to different energies. They're not going to be drawn to anybody that's nasty, just like a dog's not going to come to anybody who's nasty. It's kind of, but the thing is, everybody has such a different outlook on everything. And I don't know if it's their teaching, their experience, their mentors, I don't know. But here in the last year, I'm going, shit, I don't know what I believe anymore. The more answers you get, the more questions you have.
Yeah.
It's like, and the more people we interview, the more questions we have, because we have people who are, they're religious to the point of anything you speak to is a demon, because the Bible says, do not talk to familiar spirits. Then we have others that believe there's a purgatory, and that's the ones that are coming through. There's ones that believe you're just damned to the earth, and those are the ones that are here. We don't know. I mean, there's no way to know. You ask a spirit. I have asked 1,000 investigators, have you ever gotten the answer? What is there? Where are what are you feeling where you're at? What do you see? Can you come and go? You're not getting an answer. Yeah. It has never happened. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of do your own experiments and come to your own conclusions, and don't bash anybody else for theirs.
Well,
it's like using different types of equipment. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. You have to be open to everything and see if the equipment that you use, if whatever's there reacts to it. Even like we've gone to putting flour on the ground, right, and putting it in a different location. Because
I love that.
That could be a thing. We were in another location where this we checked for vents and everything else like that, because we had it was a dress shop, and it was a hanger that would turn, and as you question, it would turn the other way, and there was nothing that would make that move. There was no air pockets or nothing like that. So you always got to look at different things and see if something is going to react to it.
And that's like people sending you shit. I'm glad they think enough of somebody to send it. But as an honest investigator, you can't give an answer because, number one, you weren't there. Yeah. You don't know the circumstances surrounding the area, what the weather was, who was in the next room. If they're testing you to see, oh yeah, she's stupid. we were in the next room with a fishing line pulling this stuff. Yeah. She ain't no investigator. She's stupid.
I'm about to say, one thing I learned from the SQs while investigating with them was the 360 method. Have any of y'all ever done the 360 method?
I don't think so. No.
I see the confusion.
That's fairly new, correct?
Huh?
That's fairly new, right?
I don't know. They introduced it to me, so I don't know how long it's been around. But because the theory behind it is that maybe the spirit doesn't want to talk but to one person. So everyone in the room asks the same question, every person, until you get to the end and see if the spirit reacts or says anything back to one specific person, because maybe the person asking the question isn't who they want to talk to.
We did that with them at the Opera House.
I never even thought about that. That's cool.
That is neat.
That is
on
neat.
The other side of that, though, how many, if it was you, and there's 10 people there, and you're being asked the same question, by the time you come around the one you want to talk to, you're going, shut the hell up.
Well, no, you address in the beginning saying, who do you want to speak with? We're all going to ask you the same question. You react, or I cannot talk today. You react to whomever you want to speak with.
Mm-hmm. Like the human pendulum. I like that.
Yeah. I learned that from Beth, and of course the SQs and the packs.
Yeah, I saw y'all do it. I couldn't do it that night, but it's really interesting. And when we investigate again, I will.
We're going to say, Brad.
I was going to say I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I always go to places. Every time I go to
You're not wrong, Brad.
No, I've just been talking to Eileen too long.
He's just a dork. He's just a dork, so that's why he can't.
What I was going to say earlier too was how you said that you just can't flip the switch. You can. A lot of these shows they film for like a week or two at a time just to get like 30 minutes of evidence.
Absolutely.
You can investigate the same place 6 nights in a row, 7 nights in a row, and you'll get something different every time, and that's what people don't understand.
Yeah,
we have one location.
Oh, go ahead.
We have one location that we're very fortunate to continue to go back, and each time we go back, there's a little bit more and a little bit more.
You put a story together.
I don't know if you all do it, but we're every time we do an investigation, the owner, the manager, the person that let us in, we make sure that somebody comes along with us that represents them. Because then they experience what we experience. They can get involved in the questioning. And you know what? Whatever's there sure as hell knows them more than they know what. We're a hill of beans as far as they're concerned. So that connection helps out more and more. And also the fact is that then you're not going back to them afterwards and saying, here's the evidence I got. You see all this? It's so great. Because they were there. And so it gives a little bit more commitment towards what you're doing.
Validity, sure.
Yeah.
Well, when you do that, do you feel it helps them too? So when they're at that building alone, they can sit there and kind of investigate themselves in a way?
I don't know whether we really recommend they investigate themselves, but obviously if they've invited us in and they've experienced it, they already have that curiosity. And so for a lot of them, it's like, okay, you people were here and nothing, it's not like that TV show. Nothing came out of the walls, so it's like, okay, I'm calmer now. I don't mind going in there and working by myself. I see what you mean, because if you're debunking something, they're like, oh yeah, okay, there are critters in the walls, or, whatever it may be. And I think it helps them that way for sure.
Or if you got the skeptic that comes along as part of that. We were at one investigation, and again, it was we were getting lots of activity. In fact, we were walking through the main kitchen and checking the EVP later, and it was somebody singing "Hey Jude," and Jude was with us as one of our investigators, right? But later on downstairs, the one person was really skeptical. Says, I see something in that window, and it's in the basement, and the window on the other side of the window is a crawl space. So there's nothing there. There's nobody there. There's anything. So that person, in fact, seen a shadow person go across that window because another person had seen it, and that took a skeptic into, okay, there's more to this than I've seen
first
before.
Willing to believe.
Yeah. So which was good. I mean, we all, when you're talking to people, it's either, yes, I've got a story for you. This happened to me. Let's go and do this. The other side says, don't talk to me. I don't know anything about it. Go away. There's no happy medium. There never is. You can't flip back and forth from not believing to believing. So it's fun when we bring along the people that actually let us in, and it gives them something to talk about over the water cooler as well. So.
And I'm glad you mentioned that it takes a week to film one episode, because again, during public events, private, I mean, when it's all investigators, everybody knows, but during public events, that's one thing we do is tell everybody, please understand, you may watch 30 minutes of a show. It took them a week long to film it. And I know when we were filming, we were normally there about 9 a.m. and didn't finish until 1, 2 in the morning. And that was for a week straight doing that.
Right. And even at that, there's no guarantee you're going to get anything now. If any of you have ever seen where, like, I'm not going to mention any networks, but anyway, any TV show that gives you a chance to get on there and do your thing. If you look at the contracts, they all say, if you don't get evidence between here and here, you're going to fake some evidence. You're going to do.
That's what I love about Randy Hardy. I was talking to him at one of the events, and he had made a comment that people were trying to make them say that dust particles were orbs. Because they're in New Orleans, they were trying to make them dress like they were from New Orleans. He said, we would not do it. That's not how we dress.
Mm-hmm. That's why a couple of people have left. Yeah.
Joanne's asking if we've ever gone to Upper Canada Village. I've been there in my school days, but certainly not as a paranormal philosopher, which is what I like to call myself rather than that other.
I like that.
Yes,
I like that too. That's good.
But yeah, that would be a good place to go to for sure.
I hate Ghost Hunter. I mean, I'll go with it because everyone says it that's not in the field. I hate Ghost Hunter because I'm not hunting anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to communicate. I'm not hunting.
It's like paranormal. It's not just ghosts.
Yeah.
It's everything, right?
UFOs, cryptozoology,
Sasquatch. We were at a location on a historical decommissioned bridge, and on the other side, I found footprints, and I packed them up, or I actually took pictures of it between my foot and that. It wasn't bare or anything like that. I sent it to a lady that does a lot of Sasquatch sightings, and she does maps of North America. Her name's Carrie Kilmurray. And she's on Vancouver Island, but I sent it to her for, what is this? And for sure she came back and said, yeah, that's a heavy being that's gone across that particular thing. And
right.
Which is unique because we've got an individual as one of our investigators that is our Aboriginal liaison. So he's been associated with First Nations for a long, long time. He actually went to his elders to ask permission to come on board with us, which I really respected. But he gives us a different insight into Sasquatch,
right.
and UFOs and other things. So I mean, there's more than just the paranormal. And yeah, Ghost Hunter. It's just like Sasquatch Hunter. You say that in some places, and they'll say, you're not going to kill them, are you? It's like no. I agree with you 100%.
I got my big old rifle getting ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No,
okay,
I can't say anything bad about Ghost Hunters, the show, because I love Steve. He's awesome. And
yeah,
he really
we have friends there. Yeah.
I hung out.
He really does try, and I can't vouch for Jay and Tango, but I'm 99% sure they do the same thing. Well,
I should also add too. I mean, because a few weeks ago I was hanging out with them at Michigan Paracon.
But
I think what that particular show did for our community. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think what that particular show did for our community, because I can understand why some people may not like it. That's good. But I think it opened up the possibilities to a lot of people, because a lot of people were saying, well, gee, I think I heard something, but I don't have a digital tape recorder, or depending on how old you are, maybe you don't have a reel-to-reel. But suddenly these people came along and they're like, hey, we're doing this. And it wasn't out of the realm of the ordinary person's possibility. Right. So that opened up a whole new spectrum for people like me. Right?
See,
yeah, for sure.
Working so many times with Steve, I have seen him do, the first time I met him,
No, I'm not.
we were
Linda.
sitting down and we're like, hey, this is Steve. He's here to talk to you. Can you do something? Let him know, say hello to him. Before his booty could hit the chair, the light turned off. He immediately got up. He was over at the chandelier. He was checking the switches. He was checking the breaker box. He was, I mean, and this was like within the first 15 minutes of him being at the location.
Right.
Anytime there was any type of activity, he was Johnny on the spot trying to, he hates the word debunk, so I hate when we use it though, to debunk it because he does everything he can to try to say it's not paranormal.
And you know, that's what people forget when you when you run with a team, when you collaborate with another team, when you are on TV, when you know, people criticize. So when you're with somebody else, they're going to tell whatever it is you're doing to the whole world. So you need to watch what you're doing and not be an idiot while you're doing it. Yeah, you know, I have no filter. I'm me. I don't care if it's on a location. I don't care if it's, you know, I'm just me. I have no filter.
Bravo.
Those that know me, great. They like me or they don't. This is it. I'm too old to give a shit who likes me and who doesn't. But I do try to do my best as a human being to be a good human being. So, you know, it's one of those things. Now,
it's kind of interesting that we have one of those little book libraries on the corner up the street from us where people just exchange books. And I went there one day and Jay and Grant's book was in there. And I thought, I'll just give it a read. And what was kind of interesting for me was their personality in that book was totally different from their personality on the show. It was a little bit of an eye-opener, right?
Right. And see, that's me. I don't care if somebody's writing about me. If they're writing the truth, it's the same as seeing me on this. I'm on a show every week, sometimes 2 or 3. I don't change. You know, this is it. Eileen has investigated with me, been around me. Nick has been around me. This
I'm
is
scared
it.
to be around you.
We don't let Brad
You
come
should be
around.
calling me what you did last week, bullshit.
What?
We don't let Brad come around.
What's that, great grandma?
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna stop right for a second and tell a little story.
Oh, he is scared.
A year ago, and I'm not sure if he's on, but if he is, he'll comment. Anyway, this little short shit son of a bitch, big old boy, decided he for a year taunted me. You can't outdrink me. You can't do this, and you can. Really? Boy, I've got another lifetime on you. You think I can't do something? All right, game on. So he teased me for a long time. All right, we went to Salina, and we went to the bar. I said, guys, I'm buying as long as you're drinking.
Wait, you didn't buy mine?
You weren't there.
Maybe not
You
that
were late.
night.
You were late. So
No drinks for
I'm
you.
buying rounds for this little big old dude. And I'm talking, this dude is like up to here and out here. And I'm thinking, he's going to kill me. He's going to outdrink me no matter what. He's going to kill me. He passes out, and I'm still over here with the girls singing Ghostbusters song and karaoke and standing. I'm like, what? All right. So we took pictures, we took video, and his screenshots of how big he thought he was.
Did you write with marker on his face?
I was just
I
thinking
should
that.
have. I really should have, but I didn't even. I was too far
I think
gone.
all
to
of
think
our
about that.
markers
Let's be
were at
honest.
all of our markers were still in the temple.
Wow.
That was at the temple, yes. And the next day we had to be professional and act correctly because we had a fear fest going on. And Mustafa from Ghost Hunters coming in. So, and I was in charge of making sure he was okay when he came in. So, yeah. So that's another thing. I just learned this the other day. Does anybody else know the answer to this? Eileen, if you do, shut up because you probably do. Who came first, Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures?
Ghost Hunter.
Ghost Hunters,
That's a
2004.
See,
easy
I
one.
thought it was Ghost Adventures, and I
No!
argued forever
No.
about that, and I had to be proven wrong.
They
No, it's-
they had a special at first, like in 2006, like 2 years after Ghost Hunters started, but they didn't start the show until about 2 years later in
Yeah, you had
2008.
Ghost Hunters, then you had Ghost Hunters International, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Then you had Ghost Hunters Academy.
Yep.
But now Ghost Hunters took a hiatus for a while, but it wasn't long before they took their hiatus, if I'm not mistaken, that Ghost Adventures came out. And
Right.
then that's when, and then of course
Linda.
I know, but and later Ghost Nations, Tango J and Steve came back with Ghost Nations, and then Grant, Mustafa, Brandon, all them did Ghost Hunters.
Right.
Then they pulled out of Ghost Hunters, and the rest of Ghost Nation
Right.
went back over to Ghost Hunters.
Yep.
Right. And I know Brandon and Mustafa, that's really the only ones I actually know anything about.
Yeah.
But you know, who you know, it really doesn't give it doesn't matter. Sometimes the more you know, you go, oh Lord, I don't even want to say I know these people. But
Well, and then it just and you just watch people, like you watch how as to how do they react both on and off. You know, do a little bit of sort of background searching on them and say, okay, well, you were such a great person in this, but on the side, as a real person, you're quite the dink. I mean, it's like, you know, how do you go? You have to make sure that you're dealing with people that are like you said, upfront, and this is what you get.
And
that's
there's
something.
Too much of that out there. Really, there is, and I hate they say that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, as
Yeah.
United States, there you guys got so much more in the way of paranormal groups and everything like that.
Right.
We have it up here in a very, you know, compact version of it, but it's crazy. I can't imagine how people fall for some of the stuff that's out there. You know, and I don't know. I mean, do we pay for places? We don't do that.
We do.
You know,
We do. Yes.
We do.
Because it helps like you said, you do fundraisers for them.
right.
It helps here. It helps them to be able to stay open, and it helps them to, you know, some of them are greedy. Yes, of course they are. There's ones that take advantage.
I have to put a caveat on there. Yes, we have if they have somebody, we're going to bring somebody in after hours or anything like that, and we'll say, well, can we at least cover those hours while that person is there? We've done that a couple times, but not out and out, you know, this place is ours sort of thing.
Right.
I think that people will see through all the fog and pick the ones that they want to deal with.
The location
else. They'll tell you, go away, or
Common sense is gone. It's out the window.
Yeah.
Right.
The location I'm doing this weekend is a Friday, Saturday night event. We're doing it for the Historical Society. I've been gracious, or been thankful enough. I've been invited by Southern Paranormal to go help them out. We've done this. I've done it like 3 times with them. They've done it 4 or 5 times.
Nice.
It's an extremely popular historical location in Mississippi, and we're donating our time, obviously, going there, doing it. All proceeds goes back to the location. So sometimes when they want to bring in, like when they want to do their own fundraisers, we'll go and lead it. But now if we're just going as a team to investigate this location, we'll pay to do it.
Right.
In fact, the location I'm doing, have y'all ever seen the movie The Help? Any of y'all?
I don't think
No.
so. I haven't seen it.
This house is the location where the lady has the miscarriage in the house. The person who they have got, I have literally, now that's not in this location anymore, they've kind of moved them, but I have held an autographed Mark Twain book, like the real book autographed by Mark Twain, one of the very first ones, in my hand.
Wow.
That's how historical this location is.
And see, that's the thing. We get to, if you're a decent person, I'm going to back up on that one. if you align with the people that are, capable of doing these kind of things, I'm not going to say decent person, because some of the ones that are capable of doing some of these things and able to do some of these things are nothing but egotistical assholes. There's no other way around it. And I wouldn't align with them anyway. I don't give a shit. Yep. But if you're lucky enough to be able to, Paul, like you, align with people that have the same values, have, at least aren't idiots, or what we consider idiots. I don't,
so they're not Brad.
Brad.
But,
like Brad.
You do get opportunities. You really do. Like Eileen, she's not going to tell you half of the opportunities she's had, but she's been around. Nick has been around with a lot of the people. I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of them. I haven't actually investigated with too many, but I haven't been in the field, but I'm going on 5 years now. So, that's nothing compared to most people. I have been lucky enough to be in a group that I'm introduced to different people, and it's been great. But going back to what we said earlier, we were talking about different people when you go into a location and they don't know you. I have a story, and I'm sure everybody has heard my story, but I think that if you are not so much like if you're watching a live or, something like that, but my belief is, what, Linda? What?
The straight man here? What? I have no idea what she's talking about.
You're good.
Can I use Irish words?
Jenny, we love Jenny. She's amazing.
Jenny's awesome.
She is. She was like one of the first people I met when I got in the field, and she's just amazing. Her and I are a lot alike. We don't pull any punches, and we just kind of say what we think.
Yep.
Gets us in trouble, or it gets us really good friends. I don't know which. But my first investigation, I didn't think anything would happen. I didn't believe any of it. Hi, Howie. I just didn't think. I was like, I wasn't scared of anything simply because I didn't believe anything. But I did a lot of investigating on this location. It was a brothel in Texas back years ago when, not too many people know who this is, but his name was Killin' Jim Miller. They called him the Deacon. And he was back in the cowboy days, and he robbed people, and he stole cattle, and he did everything that they do. But he was also so polite and so sweet. He had a family, and would that's right, Jenny. He would be perfect with them, and then he'd go out there and do what he had to do to make ends meet, whatever that was. And we're not here to judge who does what, but I kept. I knew his wife's name, his horse's name, his kid's name, his last words when he died, where he died. And, I did all this research just in case I got one answer, I would know if it was true or not. And I got there and I started calling his name. And I didn't hear anything except a whistle. And it was like a cowboy calling his horse.
Are you talking about Old Park?
Yes. And I was like, did you hear that? I only had one guy in the room with me. And I was like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. Okay, so maybe I'm just hearing things. We moved on.
Hey, Jeremy.
It happened 5 different times. And on the camera, we heard 7 of the same thing. But the guy with me didn't hear a thing. And I was telling him, I said, I know, because this guy, and I thought it was so neat. And I kind of felt for him because he was getting ready to get killed. And he was up there, with the noose. And he asked for 3 things. He asked to wear his wedding ring. He asked to have his cowboy hat on. And he asked to have his parka or cloak or whatever they wore back then on. And they denied him that one. And so when he got ready to hang, they were doing that 1, 2, 3, whatever it is they do. And he stepped off by himself. And he said, see y'all in hell.
Oh, wow.
And and I was calling him out on all that. I didn't think anything about it. I thought that's really cool that I got the whistle on camera. And I got home 2 weeks later, maybe a week later. We had this little wooden thing on the bed that had it was like a little tiny cowboy hat on a piece of wood. And then it had a spur and a can opener. It got it from Lowe's or something. It'd been on my bed for years. And I came home after midnight, sitting out on the porch, having a cigarette before I went in. And I heard that whistle. We're out in the country. I'm like, somebody's lost their dog, whatever. I knew, though. I knew. And I went back in. I was like, I'm ignoring this. That night, that thing came off the bed. The spur pierced my husband's ear and into his head. That has never come off the bed. To this day, he swore I did it. I was asleep. Wow. I can't prove I didn't do it, but I know what happened. So
do you, when you guys go investigating, do you have like an opening and a closing? Like
I do now.
Yeah, because that's one of the things we do is what do you call them? The paranormal Miranda?
My paranormal Miranda rights. You might not need them, but it's good to have them just in case.
Yeah.
Now, before entering a location, it depends on location. We might open it up with a prayer, but I do have, when leaving, I always say you belong here. You're not allowed to follow all that.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite.
I think that even if you haven't had any activity or interaction, we've always done that both at the very beginning and then closing it out. Because we have very, again, within our team we got some extremely sensitive people too. And some things will attach to them on the way. And we try to, limit that if we can.
Right.
We've also gone to investigations where people from our team coming to that investigation will actually start feeling nauseous or feel ill because they know that something's going to happen or something's going to come at that particular investigation, and damn it if it doesn't happen. Where you got your K2s going off, you've got interaction, you've got people being grabbed by the feet on a bed that doesn't have any underneath the bed. So so when you get things like that, it makes it, then you get that wow factor. It's just like listening for EVPs, and you get that, oh my God, did that actually happen? Or if you're walking along, like Janine was going into the Kilby, and you heard that whisper on the bridge. Yeah. What was it?
Said hello to me, and I turned around, and I like under my sort of peripheral, I see a guy who's maybe in his early 20s, but when I turned completely around, there was no one there, right?
Yeah.
And yet I heard the audible first. That was weird.
Yeah. See, I'm one of the few. I get shit for it all the time, and that's okay. When I went into this field, I didn't believe in any of it. I was open to it, but I didn't believe it. And the reason I didn't believe it is because my mom died when I was 8. So I was like, if it can happen, she would have come to me. So I don't believe in any of it. Well, I learned different pretty quickly. But, and then I also worked with a medium, actually a few of them, and learned how to do that. So when I go to locations, I never say it out loud. I don't, but I do open up when I go in. And I never tell them they can't go home with me. I do tell them if they need help, come to me and I'll help. I've never had, like the horror stories of them standing around my bed, waking me up all night. Now, this house here, it was built in 1908. It's my husband's family home.
Nice.
I did not, when we moved here, I was getting married like that week. So it was all chaos. The people that came to my wedding were a lot of paranormal investigators and mediums. So, but when you're doing what you're doing, you're not thinking about any of that, and it's not coming through. You're just, you have to actually think about it before it's going to come through. It's not just going to pop up in front of you and go, hi, I'm here. So, I wasn't thinking that but the mediums that came to my wedding were like, do you understand that you have like all this going on? I was like, well, I haven't thought about it. I know I do, but it's not time to deal with them right now. And she's like, that's your family that's here, his family that's here. I said, oh, yeah, I'm sure they are. And we left it alone. Well, now we have cameras in the hallway upstairs because, and in the basement, I have not put cameras in the basement, but one of the mediums did readings down here and was touched and all kinds of things, and did readings for my aunts that have no idea about the paranormal, nothing. And so, it's like, and here lately, since I decided to invite everything and think I can help everything until I get in trouble with it, and it's going to happen. But the other night, like the last few nights, we live upstairs, like it's 3 stories. It's the upstairs, it's the main floor, and it's the basement. And we hear banging upstairs. One of us thinks it came from upstairs. One thinks it came from the side room. I don't know. But it's loud. The only other people living here, it's me, my husband, our son, and then the grandparents. They're not doing any banging in the middle of the night. It's not happening. I'm like,
I mean, they might.
Not on the roof of the house. But like, it sounds like something just hitting the roof. Not like a squirrel, not like, scampering. No, it's hitting the roof. Like, did you hear that?
That's another thing is I think a lot of people perceive that it's like an adult person or a grandparent or something like that that's continually coming to them or talking to them. Whereas we've had a lot of experiences, and that's one of the reasons why Janine likes to read Peter Pan in the dark, because she gets a lot of activity from children.
Right.
Tell them about the old Hastings and the teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you ask me what my favorite tool is, it is a Peter Pan book. So I sit in the book and I read.
And that's perfect. It's what works for everybody, because like some people will do the knock and wait for the other person to do or the other spirit to do, their end of the knock. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Most of that's on shows. So do you know if it's real? No. And of course I've tried it. It didn't work, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for anybody else. It just didn't for me. My thing, and I don't understand it to this day, but the way spirits communicate with me is whistling. Yeah. It's always a different type of whistle. I don't understand it, but I'll take it, because at least I know when we're out in the middle of nowhere and there's a whistle, it's not, it can't be anything else. Now here, like the other night, I was hearing, my husband was on this side. I'm hearing on the other side of the bed, somebody go, honey, in his voice. What? I dismissed it.
You got competition, Adrian.
Oh, I do. I went to sleep and but it's not that. It's like a voice, and I can't make it out. Finally, I just sat up, and mentally, I'm like, if you need something, just tell me. We'll deal with this now, because I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
And you have to set your boundaries, obviously, but I didn't hear it again. But all night, I knew somebody was like at the foot of the bed staring at me all night. I'm like, either tell me what the hell you want or go. One of the two is going to happen.
I think another thing that we're finding useful now, and that's from, again, we watch different shows to see what's new and what things they're trying. But the Este method tends to be, we're getting some really phenomenal results from that. I mean, even to the point of being inside of a church, doing in a historic church, doing the Este method, and it happened to be Janine that was, and saying the F word.
Yeah, they had a potty mouth.
Yeah, like
Oh.
and so it was pretty unique.
Yeah.
So and then we tried it in another historical location just 2 weekends ago, and it was we put a person, under, and they had never experienced it before, but they were catching all sorts of different things, and including telling us to shut up several times, and telling us to be quiet, and so that was different too, because there's where we were at, there's no radio signals, so
Right, and that's the
the
thing.
thing.
Jeremy, what are you talking about? What mansion grounds? I'm
Yeah,
lost.
I was trying to understand that.
I will say it's funny you said with the F word, because the location I'm going to this weekend, a couple of times ago we were there. We had, of course, the house was built in the 1800s. Where I was a room on the right, then there's this huge hallway that's probably as big as some people's rooms, and then there's another room to the left, and that's not like bedroom big, but like bigger than a foyer, but it's huge. And they were in the room to the left and towards the back in the dining room area. And what I didn't know, because when you're coming out of Estes and you figure out what made sense, you're like, really? All that made sense? Well, some of it made sense, really? But we kept getting get out. And what I found out later was there was a guy that walked into the room, and we were testing a theory, and they have him get out when get out was said. Then he would come in, and get out would be said again. So it was back and forth like that a couple of times. Well, then, like I said, we had children and a reporter. And, of course, one thing that came across the spirit box was demon. And I said, I'm not saying that. Not going to say that, because I know you don't mean that. We're not going to say it. Well, so then we got another word come through. I said, there are children present. I'm sorry, I'm not going to repeat that. And 3 times in a row, I got F-U. And I was like, the third time, I was like, okay, I apologize if I'm going to offend anybody. Like I said, we have a reporter sitting in there.
Right.
I don't know how he's going to take it.
No.
And I said, I hope I don't offend anybody. Please. The children were like, how are teenagers still? Their parents were there. I was like, cover kids if you don't want to hear bad language. I just got 3 times in a row, F you.
Right.
Found out that the guy who kept trying to enter the room, his daughter said, why don't you like my dad? He's a good guy. And that's when the FU came through.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, but I didn't want to say it because,
Of course.
of the situation, but it was adamant. I was going to say it because it was nothing else came in between that. It was FU 3 times back to back.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
it's just like it's just like trying to capture any type of like shadow figures or anything like that. That for me, I think that's probably some of the hardest piece of evidence to get. Either that or any type of video evidence, other than maybe something moving or anything like that.
Right.
And we've been fortunate on a couple of things that we've caught either a partial or a full figure, and it's those, and one was with a full spectrum and one wasn't. So I don't think it matters what type of equipment you have. I think you just take pictures wherever you go, whatever happens. Take them in 3s if you can. Like I'm talking to some of the people on the side here, just because you want that before and after. If you get something in the middle, that's good.
Right.
Keep on feeding that information or sending that. At least on our page, we say share whatever evidence you got, regardless of what it is, because it's a safe place. I mean, I won't have people being negative to another person,
and that's the problem.
If they open up and talk about an experience that they've had. Let's be careful about what we say and how, and don't be critical because somebody's opened up about their experience. Yes, it might be a bug or a spider web on an outside camera. We get that, but let's try to approach that,
Gently.
because it's
I had
But how do you
they're
know that?
terrified
Unless you're
about
there.
talking about it.
I had someone ask, why do I not post evidence on my paranormal page? I said, because you could post a picture of a spirit giving you a kiss on the cheek and with the sign saying, yes, I'm a spirit. And
Yeah.
it's going to be just torn apart. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But
Well,
now
you
I
can
mean,
post that
yeah, so
EVP
bad
and
that there's paranormal teams out there that they do it and they'll review it while there, but they don't go back and listen to their EVPs anymore because they're like, if I didn't experience it, who am I going to share it with? They're going to scrutinize
Right.
it.
well, you can post an EVP and 5 different people will hear 5 different things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's one of the things is on our page, at least, is because it's a private page for one of the things, because there is too many people out there that will just hop and make people feel this big. But we encourage people just to talk about it and say, we'll post stuff up there because we'll share it within our own team. And then, we'll have those different, no, it's this, no, it's this. That's good. At least we're having the conversation about
Well,
it.
see, I have my sister, the SQs have actually been over at my sister's house, and we got some REM pod hits. They kept seeing something out of the corner of their eyes. So we put REM pods up, or a REM pod up, and we were getting REM pod hits. And other people, friends of mine, have talked to my sister while she was at home, and they were seeing things in her house because she's been having some activity. And my sister has never been a believer. I mean, she respected what I did, but she kind of in the back of her mind made fun of me. But
Funny you.
now that she's experiencing whatever, now that she's experiencing things, like she just told me the other night, I went out on a date and I told my sister's a paranormal investigator. I was like, please tell me it wasn't date one and you got a call back. But so then, but I'm the type, she's called me with evidence or with saying, hey, like her bed moves, well, her guest bedroom, she lives by herself. Her guest bedroom bed moves 6 inches away from the wall. And I mean, I'm going through all this stuff, even though she's my sister, are you sure that when my nephew wasn't there? She goes, no, I saw it a couple of hours before this. She's got the measuring tape to see how far away from the wall. She's like, Eileen, I'm not joking with you about this. I said, no, but this is what I do to try to rule out certain things. So when she's throwing stuff to me, if I can't, come up with something that may have caused it, legitly caused it, like her, she's got a granddaughter and her potty chair was playing music 3 times in a row. And it only plays music if you use the restroom in it. And her granddaughter wasn't there. Well, the first thing I do is of course I tell her, let's try it, see if the batteries were dying, whatever, trying different things. But I reach out to other teams. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. Can you tell me anything else that could be causing this? Yeah. Because I want other people's opinions. But some people just aren't open to giving it. They're like, oh, you're just being an idiot or whatever.
Howie had a good question there.
Yeah. So I was looking at it too. So one of the things, Howie,
I was gonna wait. Yeah.
Okay. The question, just so we put it back, is that what do we feel is the number one thing that people are doing wrong, essentially? And one thing that I had to learn is to open my own mind to even what my teammates are experiencing. Yeah. I'll give you a story. So we're in this house and we've got one of our team members is very, very intuitive. Whoa. And she goes, and we're talking about names. She goes, who's Kevin? And I'm like, Kevin, like, don't you mean Robert or Richard or Mary, Elizabeth, like some historical name? She's like, no, Kevin. And I'm mocking her in my mind. I'm like, yeah, Kevin. So then flip forward and we're doing a fundraiser for this event. And I'm introducing Jude. And I'm telling the story of, she thought she saw a Kevin. And there's this hush over the room all of a sudden. And I turn around and this wife's nudging her husband. His hand comes up. He goes, I'm Kevin. And I go, no. She was looking for Kevin and the historical surname of this place. And he goes, I'm Kevin, that surname. This is my grandfather's house. And I was like, I just got to shut my mouth now because I mocked this woman and she was like bang on, right? So you never know. Like, don't just assume that just because something's a little weird and you don't believe in that particular method yourself, that it doesn't have validity.
And also question everything, like orbs. That's another common challenge. That's probably a better word than anything else, because look at the factors and look at the environment around which that thing was taken. Do you have a pet that walked by? Do you have an air conditioning unit? All of these different things that possibly could be a dust particle that's in the air. Orbs are extremely, yes, there has been people that have captured some really good ones, but 99% of them can be explained. And I think it's really hard when somebody comes up with that, oh, I've caught this orb on my camera, to explain to them why it might not be that particular thing. So just be open.
Yeah.
Just be open to everything that's around you and question it and see if you can explain it first. So,
do you guys have like an absolute favorite piece of equipment that you take everywhere with you?
Besides everything?
Besides Peter Pan? I'm an audio. Audio is my go-to. The digital recorder is my number one every time.
Yeah.
Well, we always get more audio than we do ever video, so.
Yeah, digital recorder K2. I think that's find out where the especially K2, to find out where the hotspots are that it could be electrical wiring behind. We were at an investigation at this really high-end restaurant because people were continually feeling a presence around this one area, around this one bar area on the main floor. So we did our thing. In there bright and early in the morning when the squirrels and the raccoons were fighting outside. But besides that, we did our sweep with the K2s to find out, and it happens that the meters went off the charts around this bar. So we checked to see if it's something on the bar, underneath the bar. Nope, nothing there. Go behind the bar, sure enough, it lights up again. Right behind the wall is a compressor unit. So anybody that was sensitive to electromagnetic field, anytime they were in that area, they would feel that somebody was watching them, or they felt uneasy about it. And that's I think that's why K2s are always good, and I think it's a good trigger point for when we're doing sessions as well. So it's not just one. I think it's two. But we even bring the cat balls now. So hey, we bring everything.
Cat balls. Yeah. Let's go back to Howie real quick.
Howie.
I'm going to get to that one. Howie asked about, he said something about automatic writing, which here recently I've learned, and I don't know, if you have mediums on your team or not.
Yes.
Yeah. We do.
And everybody does it differently. Everybody sees it differently. They either see, feel, hear. And when they say hear, I've learned that they're not really audibly hearing. It's like in their mind hearing. And I didn't realize that until I started doing some training. And it's actually just words coming into your mind that are not yours. And if you meditate, you know what's yours and what's not. When something comes into your mind, like if you're doing a reading for someone and something comes into your mind and you say it, I mean, it can be as stupid as a yellow duck. And you're like, I'm not saying that stupid thing because they're going to think I'm an idiot. And you say it and they go, oh my God, that's because he did this and this, and whatever the case may be. But the automatic writing, I feel, is the same way. It's like what you're getting. And if you're doing a reading for somebody, like I do them very, very rarely. I read pictures more than I do, any an area or anything. I read people. Like if somebody's got somebody attached to them, I don't see it. I don't literally see it, but I can hear words coming through, and I'll ask them if they're asking me to do a reading. I'll ask them, what does this mean? There was one time, and I would have never thought I could do it until I don't speak Spanish. I mean, I know a few words. I was in New Mexico. But the name Lupita, the hell? That's not a name you hear.
No.
And my coworker was with me, and she's telling me about her uncle who died, handed me a picture and said, see what you get. By the end of the night, I'm like, tell your uncle to go back with you because I'm tired of him going to the bathroom with me. Because we'd like, I'd be taking a bathroom break and I'm hearing him. I'm not literally hearing him, but like, you know, getting his thoughts. And I'm like, this is over. This is done. You need to take him home with you.
That's hilarious.
But Adrian,
Come to
always
find out-
go ahead.
Come to find out, Lupita is what they called her sister, and I knew her sister. I never knew that was her real name because
See,
that's
now
not what they
always-
called her.
Always say what you feel, because I had someone say, what the heck? There's not a clearance section at a funeral home. And I busted out laughing. So when we were burying my mother, and she kept saying my mom was coming through, which, you know, everybody knows my mom, you know, I've never been quiet about my mom being dead. So it's the first time I dealt with this psychic medium, whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And I think it was right at the anniversary of my mom's death. And so she said, there's not a clearance section in the funeral home. And what nobody knew until that, me and my sister did, my mom was a clearance rack shopper to the point that we would go, like when we went and got her burial dress, we had to get it off the clearance rack or we know she'd come back and beat us up. And so we were looking at caskets, and my sister and I both looked at the guy at the funeral home and said, do you have a clearance section? My mom will beat us up if there's no clearance section.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, who would have thought to say anything? But that was one clue nobody could have guessed that would have triggered that, yes, my mom was there.
Right.
Wow.
And you honestly have to, and it's not because you can't do it any other way. I mean, I'm sure we could all learn to see. We could all learn to, you know, whatever the case might be, see, hear, feel, you know, whatever. But the way we do it best is what we learn. And is everybody going to believe it? No.
No.
Yeah.
And
No,
the
not
people
at all.
I do it for are like either people that come to me because I don't go out there. Oh, hey, I can do no. The lady that taught me, and I don't throw her name out there unless she's on the feed, but the lady that taught me with a picture, and I'll never forget this. She gave me a picture, and she said, just get, you know, whatever you get from it, and we'll talk about it next week. I never expected a thing. I worked graveyard, so right after I got off the live with her, I went and took a nap, and I kept hearing, I'm not there. I'm not there. And I'm like, that's just stupid. I didn't know the story behind this. I knew nothing. And I texted her and I said, I keep getting the words, I'm not there. She goes, perfect. That's my cousin. And she's been missing. And I think my family actually did this to her.
Wow.
And she said, we've been looking for her up in this area. I said, oh my God, that was coincidence. I just let that go. And then she had a friend die recently. And it's always with her. She had a friend die, and this person was a police officer. And he committed suicide by his own squad, is what he did. She had spoke to him not long before this happened. She said, I feel like I could have said something. I could have done something. I should have known. No, you can't know. But she showed me a picture and I said, huh. I said, I can't remember what the word was. Oh, peanuts. Where the hell when somebody gives you a picture of something, you come up with peanuts because I mean, come on now. And I said, that's the only word I'm getting. I don't know. And I left it at that. Like, this is stupid. And she said, oh my God. I said, what? She said, he used to ask me to find his wallet. He always left it outside somewhere and it was camouflage. And I would remote view and find his wallet. And he would say, I can't pay you, but I'll pay you with peanuts.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Oh, hell no.
Cool.
And I said, this guy needs to go
That's
back to
very
you
cool.
because no.
Now I
But,
want to
you
hit
know,
on what
that gives me
Howie.
confidence. Huh?
Oh, I said, go ahead, finish your story. I wanted to hit on what Howie was saying about the phone, but go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that gave me confidence to be able to actually, you know, and hell yeah, you can be wrong. It's going to happen. And probably 50% of the time you're going to be wrong. But when it actually comes through and you are right, it makes a difference in somebody's life.
For sure.
To add what to Howie's saying here about the phone, do speech to text. Have y'all ever done the cell phone method to where you put your cell phone in one location? You have to be far enough away so you can't hear it. So at this funeral home that I used to investigate with Southern Paranormal a lot at, it was their location until recently. We used to put a cell phone upstairs, call the cell phone, like I'd call Adrian. I'd put my phone on mute and I would go away. Then I would unmute it, ask a question, mute it again. But with the other cell phone that was in the other location, you put a recorder down. That way you can kind of hear, but you can also hear through your phone if you get any EVPs.
That's awesome. That's actually a great idea.
That way you're
I'm
not
actually gonna
there.
try that here.
Sometimes spirits, I feel that sometimes spirits don't want to be known in per se. You know they're there, but they don't really want to talk to you face to face.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets you away, because how many times have you been trying to record? Even, I mean, it might not be that they don't want to talk to you, they just don't want to be recorded. I get more evidence setting up equipment, especially like you were talking about shadow figures. It's always in a location where there's never cameras focused on it, or the cameras aren't up yet, or you're not doing the digital recorder at that time, whatever. That's normally when you get some of the best evidence that you can't use because it's not recorded. This will get you out of the scenario, but you have to keep your phone on mute to keep any background noises from coming through the phone.
And that's, you know, that's another thing that's just so cool about all of us. We trade, you know, different experiments, and we do them in different places. Like, you know, Paul is way out there. You're, you know, across the United States. I'm in Colorado anyway. And then there's, you know, we got Indiana, we've got, you know, Nick is, yeah, I mean, like, we're so many different
I'm in Illinois.
that we try.
Eileen's in Mars.
I'm as far away from Brad as I can get.
Yes. And then, of course, Jenny, you know, she's one of our really good friends, too. And she is, like, across the seas. Like, yeah.
She's across the pond.
Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But,
Nice time difference.
and we forget this because we all talk, you know, and see each other's stuff so much that we forget that we're so far away. Like, it did not dawn on me until, you know, Paul and Janine came on the show that they weren't here, right here. Because I've known Paul pretty much when I came into the field is when I met him. And so it's like, you know, you forget, but all of us collaborating and doing these same experiments, you know, in different locations and giving each other, you know, what we get. And yeah, some of it doesn't work. Sure, it doesn't. But okay, so we drop that, go on to the next.
That's why it's an experiment.
Yeah, like
You'll never know what's going to work.
Yeah, Jeremy does a dog whistle, and
It
that
works.
has done some amazing things. And there's other places that people about got killed because they wanted to put a dog whistle out in the cemetery. What is out in the country?
Yeah, that
let's
attracted
see.
some
Wolves?
Well, not just that. Make sure that
coyotes.
make sure that if you're indoors, there's no broken windows, because I made that mistake.
Just a suggestion, because we have some friends on the East Coast and down in Texas that we tried an experiment with. Well, they came up with it, and try a spirit box session from different places. Like, and how did that work?
So we were asking questions, but the spirit box was over in Rhode Island.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
We've had friends do that where one would be at one location and one would be at home, and they would do it through the spirit box. The Coatsworth Plantation, we'd have someone in the library because we wanted to know how far the Estes method would go. So the library, most libraries are attached to the house. This particular one is actually, a driveway. Well, my driveway distance, if not further, from the house. So it's pretty far out there. And so we were in the house and we were in sensory and they were in the library, and we would just radio across whatever words came through so that they could record it and try to see. And some of it worked. No, not all of it, but some of it. So we know it doesn't have to be the same house.
And that's the thing, everybody has their different ideas on everything. And I know I don't have the answers, and I don't believe anybody has all the answers. But, and if they think they do, I just don't even mess with them.
You mean the answer isn't that it's always a demon?
It's not a demon.
Is it you? Yes, it is.
I hate the word paranormal expert.
Oh, expert, nope.
Or expert.
I don't ever see that on my feed because I delete that shit. And no.
Yep,
no.
me too. I do that
Every
too.
bit of this is an educated guess.
Right.
We were at a conference once, and I was asked a question about something, and I just said, you know what? I don't know. And the gentleman that asked the question, I thought his jaw was going to hit the ground. He says, I've never heard that before. Usually somebody comes up with some sort of BS that's going to work about something. But I'm like, no, I don't, what you asked, I don't have a clue. So why would I lie to you about it?
Right. And then the answer behind that would be, let's experiment. Let's find out. Yeah. Follow us. We'll do it. Let's find out. And then you talk to, the group chat that we have there's a lot of us from everywhere.
Yep.
And, I am no different. My husband has just gotten in the paranormal field since we've been together. He had no clue about it. That is not his forte, nor does he no. But they follow him, not me. They follow him home, not me. And he's like, I heard my name called. And I'm like, well, answer the damn thing, because they're going to keep going if you don't shut up and answer them. But, I'm the only conclusion I've come to, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, is that I don't believe spirits have, we all know they don't have a sense of time like we do. But I do believe that they can think something and be a different place. I don't care if it's in Mars. They can go.
I don't know about that sense of time. I think sometimes they like.
Okay, now you opened up a whole can of worms, because I do not believe that time is linear, because I have personally had experiences where time sped up and time slowed down for me in my life. So I got to say, here now, since it was open, I'm a dimensionalist. That's where I think all these things are, and who knows? But that's what I think, is that.
Okay, so since I've never had someone say that, so I need to know. Okay, so my first experience when I was 7, we had flown to Costa Rica. My parents traveled all over the world. But I went to the bathroom. We were in some restaurant that was almost outdoors, but like whatever they do in Costa Rica. And I looked when I came out of the bathroom, I was the only one in there, and another person came through. And just looking at him as they went through, I was leaving, was like my twin. And, you know, I thought about that scenario so many times. I wasn't looking in the mirror. We did not have the same clothes on. The mirror was here. I'm looking over the other direction. I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I know they all say, you know, everybody says you have your doppelganger, your twin, or whatever it was, but what's the odds they're going to be in the same bathroom as you? Whoa. They're going to be in the same bathroom as you.
I scared her.
When you're
Eileen.
7 years old.
Yeah.
I had to log in just to say that. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, don't they say if you see your doppelganger, you're going to die anyways?
Apparently not, because this is like 30 some years later. Let's put it that way.
You've seen
I'm
your
not
More of a
doppelganger.
mimic.
There's a historical place up in northern British Columbia called
Barkerville.
and it's a historical gold mining town.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've maintained all of the buildings or anything. If you ever get to this neck of the woods and you want to go, it's quite the drive. But if you go see something unique, this is the place to be. Janine's seen her doppelganger there.
Yeah. I'm in a photograph. Like it's me. I look at this historical picture, and I'm in it. Like this person. You don't often look at people that go, "Oh, you look like so and so." You go, "No, I don't." But this person was a
I don't
spitting
have
image.
pictures. All I have is what I remember. And who's going to believe anybody at 7 years old? And I never told that story until I actually got in the field. I never told that story.
My slowing down time happened in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And I'm there with 3 friends who happen to be sisters. It's the 80s. They're Italian, big hair, high heel shoes, whole bit. And so we're walking. I'm like, why are you wearing those shoes? Like, anyway, so all of a sudden, time starts to fragment. And it's going, it's like split second by split second by split second. And this voice says to me, step off the curb, get the girls out of the way. You're going to get hit by a car, but you will be fine. And at that point, I lose control of my body. I step off the curb. This car comes around the corner. I push back like that. They go kind of going back a bit. The car hits me, and I land on my ass on the sidewalk, and I've got a bruised tailbone, and that's it. And they're like, how the hell did you know? Sorry, how the heck did you know that car was going to come around? And I go, I cannot explain this if I try. Like I was told what to do, and then afterwards time became itself again. But something walked me through that situation. I don't believe it was attached to me. I believe it was attached to the sisters, and somehow it picked me to get them out of the way for whatever reason.
Y'all have cool doppelganger stories. Mine, I literally got a phone call from a friend of mine, and she says, I need you to get up here now. And she was at a store, and I was like, well, where are you? She was at a naughty store. I was like, why do I need to get up there? She was my next door neighbor. I was like, why do I need to get
There's nothing wrong with that.
So I get up to the store. I'm walking in. The people at the store are like, oh my gosh, it is her. It is her. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? They show me a DVD that literally I had to look at this like 15 times to make sure it wasn't me. To the point I bought the DVD. I had to go. Now once it started playing, it didn't look like me. But I literally thought it was me. I was like, holy crap. And then of course Ricky just recently saw that picture at that other place. It looks very similar. But this one just was like, when you have to look at something yourself to make sure it wasn't you, like 10 or 15 times, something ain't right. I mean, I was thinking, I was trying to think back.
You were just trying to make.
I was going to say, I don't know.
You were drunk.
They literally were wanting to set up a booth and have me pretend to be this person to do autographs. Exactly.
It's just
It's
like
fun.
portals. It's the same. Portals. It's the same thing.
Jeremy.
Whether you have portals, mirrors, or otherwise. I mean, it's we think around the same area where the Bigfoot footprints were,
And the Shadow Man.
and oh yeah, that's another story. But just down the pathway, we kept on hearing, and then Janine was going live on her digital, and you kept on getting feedback.
Interference, like digital, like strange. I never heard this type of interference over my digital recorder because I'm listening live. That's what it means by live. And the strange part about that is when I'm doing that, Jude goes, "Oh, I feel sick. I got to get out of here." So it's strange.
Yeah, and it's all around this one area. So
It's crazy.
who knows? Who knows? Guy's stealing the ketchup.
Well, you talk about portals and mirrors. Actually, I haven't used it yet. But I make portal boxes with mirrors on them. Haven't had any luck with them yet, but
Okay, so I already told the story about how I didn't believe any of this. Well, I had mirrors in my room. I had one on the dresser, one on the bed, one on this side, and one on this side. I was going to make sure if there was a damn portal, it was going to happen. It never happened.
now when we went to Whisper's Estates, they had a whole room with mirrors in it.
Eileen, be nice.
Are you reading the chat? Guys, this is a sign. They know this is a sign for something.
So I got a question for all you guys.
Just do this. It's all good.
You won't get banned for that.
Oh no, my luck! I'll get back in Facebook jail.
If there was a way to ever get banned, I have tried it. It doesn't work.
I don't know. I got banned. I got Facebook jail for saying girls are evil. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember
that.
that. You said it in writing on the shows. It doesn't matter. Well, okay, I take that back. On one of the shows I produce, a guest talked about the pandemic and the cure to the pandemic, and that it was a hoax. And the whole thing got taken down very quickly.
of course it did.
Yeah.
So I got a question for all you guys. I do a lot of 3D printing, as you know, Adrian, Eileen. I'm getting 3D printed color changing filament where temperature changing.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about that? Using like making something on a 3D printer, asking a spirit to lower the temperature and have it change the color.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like a low.
It's like using a digital thermal reader. Same principle.
Let
right?
me know, and I will buy it, and we will try it out.
Howie.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
all
gotta be
good.
careful of the only thing I worry about is the environmental factors. But if you leave it sit for like a half an hour,
I'm gonna say I don't use a lot of thermal stuff around here because the humidity, the temperature changes like every 5 seconds around here. So I try to stay away from it because I can't trust it anymore.
well, that's what happens when you live in the armpit.
I know, right?
We were at
Jeremy.
one location recently, and we used both the temperature gun but also thermal. And the three of the investigators were huddled around the one set of stairs leading to the upstairs in this one particular room that was creating a lot of angst for a lot of the people around there. So I was sweeping around just to see, how it is, and I was getting, good temperatures. And then suddenly it was like a major hit of thermal come down from the ceiling, and I'm not making this up, at 104 degrees. And I'm like, okay, you're either on fire or something's happening here. And I haven't checked it out yet because it's recent, so I haven't. But my thermal can take pictures too, so hopefully I've captured that, and I think that would be of interest because there's no way that. And this was at night, well, early morning hours, so it wasn't the roof or anything like that, and we weren't even close to it. So that was unique. I've never seen something like that much of a temperature change, because everything else was around 55, 58 degrees, and then 104.
That's a
And
big.
I'll remember that.
Keep going with that. Keep going. Experiment with that. Document it. You know, it could be something. We don't know. Jeremy, that little comment there a minute ago. Wait a minute. What did he say? Now I gotta go back.
This one about being banned.
Yes. All right, Jeremy, have you been watching, TV at all? Because the guy just got sentenced over freedom of speech. They actually sued the freedom of speech along with him, and they lost. And he's paying $9 billion to people. That was bad. Yeah, that was very bad.
I got a food for thought that just popped in my brain, which is scary.
Wow.
Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me, so that's kind of a scary thing. Do y'all think if because if a psychic, when a psychic or medium or especially a medium passes away, do you think they have a better connection to the living?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know why it just popped in my head wondering that.
Yeah, actually, I did see somebody say that not long ago. They said that if you are a medium, trying to connect the living to the dead while you're living, are you going to try to connect the dead to the living while you're dead? And I don't think so. But I might be a minority. I don't know. I've never asked anybody really what they thought about it.
Oh.
Because everybody has such different views on it. And I really don't know my view at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just popped into my head all of a sudden. So when things pop in, you don't have to ask it. Because my brain.
I thought your head was like this and hollow.
That's why when it popped in. That's why it was so cool when it popped in. Something like stop.
So no, Howie.
Howie, we'll come on. I just want to respond to that.
So there's theories that suicide victims, especially, do not leave this earth because they feel like they're going to be judged on the other side, so they stay here. There's theories that people are stuck here. There's also theories that people are in purgatory. There's theories that people from heaven can come back down anytime they want to. None of us know the answer to that. I mean, we just really don't. So I've made it a point to read people's near-death stories and experiences. And what's really scary is they're all different. Some people see, flowers and fields and roses and God and whatever it is they see. Others, like one friend that I personally know, and it's kind of scary because he was in a motorcycle accident, hit by a semi. He was dead. I mean, he was gone for 10 minutes. Anybody who knows anything about science, 10 minutes, your brain's dead, gone, you're done. He remembers everything that happens during his death. He remembers seeing like this 7 to 10 foot being, and he was in a what I would describe as a spaceship, but he didn't. He just said they were beings and didn't have faces, didn't have anything. They were just huge. And he was sitting on this like metal bench type thing. And he said, if you believe, and this guy just scared the shit out of me when he was telling me all this because he lived it. He said, if you think that, you remember your family or regret things you didn't do or did do, he said, you're wrong. He said, because when I was up there, I didn't know I had family. I had no feelings whatsoever. None of regret, none of wish I would have done this, no cold, no hot, no, nothing. He said, I was just there. But the beings that were with me, he said there was 2 of them. And I was communicating with him, not verbally. It was all just mental. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. That part makes sense to me. And he said, they were just telling him, you know, relax a minute. And all of a sudden they said, all right, you're okay. And he went back to his body and felt the pain. Everybody said he should have never. Well, I mean, we all know for 10 minutes, if you don't have oxygen, you're gone. You're done. Your brain's dead. He's just as, well, I don't know about normal, but he's just like the rest of us. And he would come to my job. He was real good friends with me. And he'd come to my job and he'd look at me and say, why in the hell do you want to mess with things you know nothing about? Why do you want to mess with the paranormal? Why do you want to mess with this dark side? Stop it. He said, you want nothing to do with it. Stop it.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, I do want to know. He said, no, you don't. He said, because when you see it, you cannot unsee it. I was like, well, yeah, I do understand that. He said, no, I don't think you do. Until it happens, you don't. Yeah. He goes, look around here. And we're looking at a parking lot in a gas station. He says, what do you see? Our town? He said, uh-huh, that's what you think you see. He said, what if it's not? He said, what if this is just a matrix? And I said, well, I don't know. Then somebody's playing video games with us. That's all I know. I don't know. But he really, I mean, he was like really adamant that what we see is not reality. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, are we really that?
It was in between like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's shows about what they call glitch in the matrix, where I saw one that just stuck in my mind. It's a palm tree. And they were showing on the road, showing a video of a guy in a convertible. And you could see his face moving around and all this because they were at a standstill. And in the mirror, he is not doing anything that he's actually doing in the car. It was like, I mean, complete. It was weird. And then they showed a palm tree, a whole different place and time, but a palm tree. And then you got this palm tree here, and the leaf is over here hanging in midair. It's like it's not connected. It was so weird. I'm like,
well, they do talk about that.
Know that's not fake. I don't know.
And I forget what shows it is, but some shows that we grew up watching that you know that certain things are in it, and then you go back and watch it, and it's all of a sudden it's not there. What was it?
The Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Like Tinkerbell in the Disney openings.
Is that what, I can't remember what it is.
Jenny,
okay.
That
I was going to say, but Fruit Loops always was spelled with 2 O's until they sued them.
Intelligent answers. That's, yeah. I don't know. And that is my thing right now. That's what I keep going through. Why are we getting intelligent answers? So I go back to everything people have told me. Is it the Bible where they say don't talk to intelligent spirits because it's demons that know your past, your, you know, what your thoughts, your, who knows? Is it really people can come back from heaven and talk to you? Is it that people stay on earth and can talk to you? I don't know.
I think again, it gets back to what I said about like even our team and you have to keep an open mind about everything. And then until it's in concrete, and whether that is true or not, you still have to be able to. You can't just say, "I don't believe it. I don't believe you. I don't believe a thing you're saying." We're all living in putty. It can't be. It can't be. To me, anyways, is that when I'm having conversations with practically everybody is just you've got to keep that open mind, and even though sometimes you bite your lip and you know, you walk away from it, you got to at least take that conversation in, unless you know it's totally weird.
And even at that point, I tell them, I'll get back to you. Let me think about that.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to you.
I've got one of our paranormal investigators that will, and she came in anyways, but she joked about, if I go on this investigation, I'm going to catch on flames. And I'm like, we're going into a church. She says, yep, I'm going to catch on flames. So, I mean, it's you got to keep that, love her to death, you know, but I mean, you've got to keep that open mind, because people on our team, as an example, I respect their abilities, and I respect what they come to me with. I feel this, or I hear this, or I think I see this person over here, because I can't. And because I can't doesn't mean that it's not there. And so if you have a conversation with someone, even in even for a potential investigation, listen to what and this is for our guests here, but listen to, or the people listening, listen to what they're saying. Where is it happening? Is there a reason why it's happening around a particular area? And then try to solve it. But can we? Not all the time.
Yeah.
And if we could, well, you know, we'd be gazillionaires.
I think the more questions we get answered, the more questions we have, because then it like branches off into why and how did that get there? And like Jeremy says, I've done a few places that have to. Okay, that's not. Oh, Jenny.
Yeah.
I'm big into paranormal and religion. And see, that's where I'm at. And so what is right? What is not? Like, my husband is going to be writing a book on different religions. Cool. He's studying different religions, different people, you know, interviewing them, and he'll be writing a book on that. But all different religions, most religions, all come back to the same thing. Be a good person. Don't be shitty. You know, that's kind of what they all go. Even, and I've looked into, like, my college thesis was on Satanism, just because I wanted something really crazy to stand out. And even Satanism is not, you know, oh, let's kill everybody, set everybody on fire, damn them to hell. That's not what it is. It's put yourself first, which is not most religions, but they're not about killing people. Now, there are extremists, just like there are in Christianity, anything else. That, you know, some people look at Christianity and you get those ones that you just want to go, no, because they're so far this side that they go to the other side. They just turn you away from it. Yeah. But
because I have so many religions in my family, I am, you know, I was raised Baptist. I do believe in a higher power, but I do pay attention to all different other religions. And I take a bit, because I do think, like you said, they kind of all branch out, but they still have, you know, basically the same tree on some cases. My husband's Catholic. I'm Baptist. I've got one of my kids is agnostic. I've got my dad's Church of Christ. My mom was Lutheran. My brother's atheist. I listen to every
all different. I mean, all of those.
And that's the reason why, like you were talking about heaven or hell. As much as I say, oh, my mom's in heaven, I do take a piece of the Bible. It says the gates of heaven or hell do not open until, you know,
Right. So and that's where I say, yep.
That's where that's why we have spirits. Now, what's causing it, whether it's, you know, the veil thins, whether it's they're walking around, whether my husband and I have had talks about purgatory.
But isn't it's the same thing in the paranormal? It's the same, you know, factory religion and that on one side, but you've got in the paranormal world, I mean, it's the same principles. Is that everybody has their own way of doing an investigation. We're a team that have a mixture of, mediums, psychics, and, equipment wise. So it's a full meal deal. Other teams don't believe in psychics or mediums.
Right.
So they don't have that as part of it. Other
Right.
teams have just psychics and mediums, and they don't work on equipment wise. So it's still the same thing. You got to leave doors open so that people can see, especially if you're going to talk about it. If you're going to talk about it, at least have that background or some of that information that you can pass on.
Right.
But be honest about it. Don't think that you're right about it all. Just that here's my opinion, and this is here's from another source, and pass that on. Just don't be I on it, because it's boring to say anything else. But yeah.
See, now, Jenny, on that comment with Jenny, now someone tell me if I'm wrong. No one's ever told me if I'm wrong, and I'll tell you, yes, I was raised Baptist, Southern Baptist. I read the Bible every night before bed. Grandma made you. Did I retain everything? Heck no. But so I could be wrong, but I don't believe anywhere in the Bible it says anything that purgatory is bad. And so I'm about to say, I think we all interpret it that way, but I don't think it specifically says it, does it?
No, I don't. Okay, I'm like you. I don't know for sure, and that's something I would actually have to look up. But I don't believe in, like, the King James Version, that it even says purgatory exists. But what it does say is, and everybody interprets it different, and that's part of the issue with Christians. But what it does say is God is going to come back for his children. Now, what happens in that time that before he comes back? Are they roaming the earth as spirits?
That's what I think purgatory is that in between. It's the in between waiting for, me personally, again, this is 100% me, the in between.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Jenny.
Sorry, Jenny, that was deep.
Okay, Jenny,
Wow.
I can't promise anything, but if you'll send me a picture of her, maybe I can communicate. I can't promise that I can, but if she wants to talk, maybe I can. That's yeah.
Wow.
Nobody wants anybody in pain. Nobody,
Jeez.
I don't know.
Well, you guys, I looked up purgatory according to the Bible. It says purgatory, the condition, process, or place of purification or temporary punishment in which, according to medieval Christian and Roman Catholic belief, the souls who die in a state of grace are made ready for heaven. So it's like your soul being purified.
Okay. I haven't heard that, which I don't claim to be.
I'm about to say, I'm not, my husband went to Catholic school. My husband was going to be a priest one day, is what he thought, until he found women. But so, he's my go-to person a little bit more.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, but and for some reason, I just always feel that and that would make sense. It's just, you're in between. You're not really truly suffering anymore, but you don't go to heaven or hell. That's just, again, like you said, my opinion.
And it's all in our minds too. Like, there was a show on last night that talked about people could not do the mile in 4 minutes until somebody did. And then all of a sudden, lots of people could. They did that record. It's a mindset. So is it a mindset that maybe, we don't want to imagine that once we're gone, that's it, we're gone, that there's never anything else, we're just done and gone?
Well, you
don't
talked
know.
about people giving you reading near-death experiences and how it's different for everybody. Well, everybody has a different view of heaven, hell,
Yep.
the
Right.
afterlife. Just like I believe, like I told you guys before, energy doesn't dissipate. It doesn't stop. It doesn't go anywhere.
That's
It
right.
doesn't
No, it doesn't.
So the energy of a person doesn't disappear. So where does it go? We don't know.
Yeah.
That could be why. I mean, time is a human construct. Time is a man-made thing. That could be why the spirits don't have a time.
Right.
It's because it's something we made up. Their energy is no longer here. So is it in heaven? Don't know. Is it in hell? Don't know. It could be across the galaxy, and they can come back anytime they want.
It's just like time is a concept too, right?
Time is a human concept.
I mean, I know Janine's has actually lost time as another experience that she had in Ontario, and she has absolutely no idea where this time went. Tell the story.
I was going up to visit my parents one weekend. It's a 2-hour drive from Toronto. And I took the same route all the time. I'd head up Airport Road. There's this guy building a boat on the right-hand side. I'd get to Orangeville, stop at McDonald's, get my pop, hang a left, head on home. This one day I'm going up, and it was a 2-hour drive. So I left work and I'm going up. I see the ark, the guy building the boat, and I continue on. Only I don't go to McDonald's. I'm like, the next conscious memory I have, I'm 9 miles from home.
I've done
like,
that.
Like, what happened to I go in to get my pop, and I'm like, why am I in Arthur already? And so, yeah, you could have been daydreaming, or something may have been going on. I just consciously buzzed through it all. Except that when I got to my destination, my dad looked at the clock and goes, "You're an hour early." And I'm like, I'm very fortunate that my dad was open, and I'm like, "Dad, you're not going to believe this one," because to this day I don't know where that hour is still went. It's impossible for me to get
with my fingers like
in an hour.
Well, I kind of like what you
You
said,
can't have
because
it.
if you think about it, it was a human being pretty much that said, "This is an hour. This is 2 hours. This is, what is time?"
Yeah. I think, it, once you're gone, it's infinite. I mean, like, you can think about it when you're there. Am I right?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know that, but Jenny, her question there, I've thought about that lots of times. Do any of us have the real answer? Probably not. But my answer to that is, I think humans have free will. If they kill a child, if they, I don't believe our fate is written. I think we do what we do. We have free will to either be evil or good, or just kind of be here. Mental illness, that's kind of a gray area where you think a serial killer with mental illness, we look at him as evil. Some of us are empathic and look at it a whole different way. Like, what if he was thinking this, or what if he couldn't help this? There's some of us that go through that. I'm one of them. I can find good in almost anybody and look at both sides of it.
Yeah.
I whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. That's my way of coping with life. Nobody has the real answer, but I think children that pass away, if there is a heaven, if there is, whatever, they're not suffering either way. They're good. They haven't had a chance to be nasty, evil humans. I do believe that some of us have been nasty. I have. I
I'm
haven't
an
always
angel.
been
What are you talking
an
about?
girl. Let's cut the camera off while she struck by lightning. We don't want to see that. But yeah, I've been as nasty as anybody can be without murdering somebody.
I've taken
I've learned.
I've taken some of the names of some of the people that have contributed to the show, question wise or anything like that. So I hope they don't mind if at some point we'll talk to them, because I'm not exactly sure what the time frame is for tonight's show or anything like that. And then maybe there's different perspectives that we can throw out there or anything like that, and or maybe we can introduce them to depending on their area or anything like that. Again, like we talked about knowing people or anything like that, then you can if I know somebody in that area that's got a similar value or they're generally a good team or a good person.
Right.
Maybe
right.
maybe we can talk a little bit more about it. So
the people that are on this show, Howie, we know him real well. He's amazing. Jeremy, of course, is the founder of Things. He's just not on camera because he just had surgery. He almost died. It's been almost a year now, but he had an accident at work and almost died. He's like one of my best friends. I love that man. Jenny she's amazing. She is.
Jenny's great.
She is.
I don't know of anybody, and if they do, I don't give a shit. But I don't know of anybody that has anything bad to say about Jenny. Howie's amazing. Let's see who else we got. Oh, there was.
Jeremy just gave us permission, Nick.
Jeremy.
Linda. Said we're going 15 hours. We're going 15 hours, Dan.
We went on for like 5 hours one time. I was
okay,
like,
that
I'm
means we're
going
gonna have to
bed.
put some pants on. Hang on.
Right. No.
Yes.
Joshua Dixon. He's one of my great friends. Linda Judd. She is awesome.
No Jill
All the
tonight.
people that I've seen comment.
Who the hell is Jill? She's gone again.
Jill, I thought I saw something. Maybe I'm wrong.
She's probably back in Facebook, Jill.
But I thought she had something going on tonight. I'm not 100%. And Jill, if you ever get to talk to her, she is absolutely amazing. She was one of our biggest fans. And when Jeremy had to go to surgery, we put her on the show. I love her. I really do.
She's awesome.
And now you just stuck with me.
My husband was raised Irish Catholic, so I feel you.
Yeah, I think we're at a point right now where, because we're in this field, we see many different religions, we see many different backgrounds, we see, and we all beliefs. Question everything. I take a little bit from every religion. Well, I won't say every, but paganism, Christianity, Wiccan. I take a little bit from everything, and I can actually fit it all together and make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying earlier to you.
Well, I think a lot of people in the paranormal, it stems from the fact that you want to know what happens after we're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You can read it in a book like the Bible, but we, as humans, we want to know.
Absolutely.
Well, the best thing, and I don't know how, I'm sure every one of us have gotten this and probably said the same response. How can you believe in spirits? You can't see them. Well, first of all, you can see them sometimes because I have seen them.
And they scare the crap out of you.
I don't. Yeah. But
secondly, how can you believe in God? You've never seen him.
Right. Where is this? And Holy Spirit. I mean, you believe in that spirit being able to bring you goodness and health and whatever it is. I do understand. I fight with that too, where don't talk to familiar spirits. What are we talking to? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to keep going until we find out what are we talking to. And what I found is most people who have committed suicide keep coming back through and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Tell them I did not mean to. And that is the hardest thing you have to relay to somebody is they say, I don't mean to. And I've heard that. Thank God I have not had to actually relay that to somebody, with somebody I know. Now, one of my best friends, her son did commit suicide. He was autistic, and his autism made him join people that he should not have, got into drugs, followed people that he should not have. He was very young, 17, 16. But he was almost 7 foot at this point. He was a very large young man. And he had brothers and sisters, and he left a note for his mom and said that he said, I know the monster I'm becoming, and I don't want to hurt anybody else. And he ended it. The way he ended it, he was left-handed. The gun was in his right. None of it makes sense. None of it
doesn't make any sense.
None of it makes sense. But his mom did have to see him, and she found him, and she had been prepared from birth. They said with his level of autism, he's going to do this, and they prepared her from birth. He's an amazing young man. I never met him, and I say he is because he's around between me and her constantly. We have a son now who is autistic, and he's not that far on the scale to where, hers was, but he helps. He really comes around. He's like, stop. And he just kind of helps us with it, but he's around all of us.
I love that.
And speaking of which, wipe your mouth before you go to bed.
Guys, I'm about to, speaking of bed, I'm about to have to hit the hay. I got a long day tomorrow. I got an investigation
Yes,
all night. After
yes.
working.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to wrap up. So
Where can
We
people
still got
find
14
you?
hours and
How can
58
people find
minutes left.
Jeremy, whoa, Jeremy, we all keep it real with you, boy. We have to.
Oh my God.
I gave permission, man.
That's priceless. That's priceless.
We love Jeremy. We do.
Yes.
All right.
No, this has
Janine,
been
Paul, thank you so much for
No,
coming on
thank you. It was
tonight.
great.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Great.
It's a spice. I mean,
It was.
and again, like we talked about, and Nick, I'm gonna bug your head about some other teams and things like that maybe we can get in touch with now that you know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I strongly believe in para-unity with the right people.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
if we can, I've written some notes here. You can't read this, but I've got little scribbles here of notes for myself about some of the things we talked about with different types of tools and things like that. I'm thinking, wow, I've got to try that. Perfect. I mean, how else can you get that sort of stuff? And
Right.
And like I've seen some of the comments, especially from Jenny and her conversation from her an EVP she got with a person that passed. That's the type of things that we always ask people to come onto our page and share those experiences and talk about it, because it might trigger something else in somebody else to talk about something a little bit further and keep the conversation going. So thank you very much for having us here. It's been fun.
Yeah,
It's been
good time.
interesting
This
for
was
sure.
great. I just want to say very quickly, Paul, like what you were just saying, this is the first time showing this to anybody. I even have that, as I told you guys in the messenger, I added you guys on Facebook. You're going to see a lot with me talking about para-unity, but for the first time ever, I finally have it on
We
finally
can't
have it
see.
on a patch. I
Oh,
finally got
get
it.
Get that
Perfect.
black and white crap off you. Show your suitcase.
Wait.
Hold on 1 second. I'll fix it quickly.
He's got very
I
good.
haven't
Very
had
good
any
at
room
that.
for any more patches when I was going to get you the cockroach one. You said, no, I don't have any room for any more patches.
No, he won't do that if you do say that.
I love
So-
y'all. I've got to run to my other house real quick, and then I'm going to come back here and going back to bed.
If you drive, it'd be faster.
Love
No,
you,
Roger,
Eileen. Be
it's
careful.
fine.
Just teleport.
I
It's
got
good.
it.
Just
Have a
teleport.
good one, Eileen.
Love you.
Thanks, Eileen.
Love
Bye.
you.
Okay. So yeah, just
Give it-
pass the word, get it out there. I'd love to see more people come onto our page and just have that common interest.
Join your page. Send a request to join your page after Adrian gave
And
me the
or take a look at the website and which is really hard to remember, cornerstonesupernatural.com.
Jenny, we
uh,
love you. Good night.
There it is. There it is.
Jeremy, every time I do a show and tell, you can never see because his background. Okay, well now I got it fixed. Now you guys can actually see it.
Yeah, Vo,
There
I
you
love it.
go.
Is it
There
Vo?
you go.
You told me you didn't have any more room for patches.
This is
He
for something
really
else.
does not.
This is on.
Oh,
this
he
is-
has
well,
room.
wait. This is for something else I'm putting together. You didn't, I was gonna say you don't know that. I have something else I'm putting together right
Mystery man.
now.
We have one of our team members actually has a she has a Facebook page on Para-Unity. I'll link you up with that.
Yeah,
So,
that would be awesome.
And again,
Awesome.
same thing, same principles.
With the
People
right
that have the common goal, because like you said, Adrian, is that there's too much. We don't have time for the other shit. Let's just
Absolutely.
concentrate on what
No, we don't.
we're good at and what we can stay positive at. We all got
Get
enough
rid of
bad
the
things
rest,
happening in
ignore
the
'em.
world. Let's just be normal for a change.
You know, I just want to point that out too, really quickly. It's too bad we've met now because I wish I could have had you guys a year ago because I actually made a Para-Unity video last year for
Wow.
actually response to COVID. You know,
We'll do
just
it
really
again.
getting together, giving. Oh, God.
Well, now you know us and you know we love to talk. So anytime, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I made something like that, and it was a real success. So yeah, that's
Excellent.
awesome.
That's bravo. Good on you. Good on you.
Yes.
Okay,
All
guys.
right, guys.
All right,
Take it
Everybody,
easy. Have fun. Thank you
Thank
much
you.
again.
love
and
y'all.
I'll see.
Have a good
I'll
night.
actually see some of you guys tomorrow night because I'm going to be on Emily's show tomorrow night, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yes,
So
you will.
I just
It was
want to
nice
point
meeting
that
you
out.
guys.
Good night, everyone.
We will do.
Good
Take
night,
care.
y'all. Good night, Jerry.
Bye.
Night.